had asked Krishna, "O Keshava, what are the signs of one who has attained calm wisdom and established in union with God? How does he speak, sit, walk?" And in the stanzas that follow, Krishna explains to Arjuna many of the qualities of such a one who's established in wisdom, and he comes and he concludes these qualities with this stanza 57. Krishna says to Arjuna, "He who, under all circumstances, is without attachment and neither elated by goodness nor depressed by evil, is a man of established wisdom." In other words, Krishna is saying, a man, a soul, person who's not tossed about on the waves of circumstances, on the ups and downs of life, but one who remains centered and is established, centered, firm, and calm in the midst of the, as Paramahansa Yogananda would sometimes say, amidst the cataclysm of breaking worlds, one can maintain one's centeredness in the midst of that. And this is the mark of somebody who has attained that wisdom and has attained a depth of understanding. Now, how is that possible? I mean, what things happen outside of us, and if we look at the normal course of events, we look at our own life, we see that it's very difficult to not be affected by those things that go on around us, the ups and downs of life. But you see, the secret here is given in this very stanza itself, one who's without detachment. You could say that the wise is complete in himself. He doesn't desire anything for himself. He has no likes, dislikes in that sense, but he's whole, and there's nothing outside of himself that he needs or is wanting or is desirous of. So consequently, whether the circumstances are, you might say, the worldly man would think favorable or unfavorable, it's not going to be affecting him because his joy is not coming to him from circumstances outside of himself. Now, I'd like to clarify and explore a couple of points on that, because it's often to the worldly person mysterious how a person could be such as that, not affected by these things. And if one isn't affected, wouldn't such a person be indifferent? Often I think this is a common thought that people have. Well, if I don't desire anything of this world, if I'm not attached to what happens, good, bad, positive and negative, I must not care. There must be a certain indifference. Why should I do anything if I don't have a desire to do something? But again, the secret is given here in the commentary in this case. Swamiji mentions that yes, the sage or the wise person is whole in himself and has no desire for himself. But he does have a desire, in a sense, a desireless desire, because his only desire is to be helpful and to help other people. But he's not indifferent by any means. You could say that if you look at the example of saints throughout history, I'm sure all of you have read biographies or autobiographies of saints, and one thing that is absent in the lives of all saints is indifference. You never find that. They're not indifferent. They're usually joyful. They're full of life. They're energetic. They're wanting to the greatest maximum ability that they have to be able to serve and to work and to help other people. This is the mark of the saint. Indifference is hardly that at all. But they may be indifferent to the outward satisfactions of the world, but they're not indifferent to life, and they're certainly not indifferent to the travails and the troubles of people around them and the situation that's going on around them. They're highly engaged in that way. It's like Master used to say, Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, a sad saint is a sad saint indeed. Well, you could say the same thing. An indifferent saint is certainly not a saint at all, to be totally indifferent.